But if these companies, these U.S. companies, are sort of treated properly, and the tariffs keep the other people out, we can, just based on the few hundred million people in this country, be able to support our economy, create jobs, and live steadily.
I doubt it. Possible, but I doubt it.
Why?
Because it's never worked that way. We have a global economy. We're more globalized than we ever were. We have language now. Supply chain. Almost every American kind of understands what's a supply chain. Didn't used to think about things like that because we were all here. When they say supply chain, they kind of know that when you get up in the morning and you have your breakfast, the coffee doesn't come from America and the sugar in it doesn't come from America. So if you put a lot of tariff, your latte is going to cost you $30. Uh-oh, how are you going to manage this in a country already troubled with inequality? The price increases alone, suggested by what he's doing, the dramatic actions, they look dramatic. I'm helping America. It looks wonderful. I mean, it's choreographed in Hollywood, but it doesn't work.
Do you think he has a good faith belief that this will lead to the best outcomes for the American people?
Oh, I think that, given what I gather from what he says, I don't know how to say this politely. He doesn't understand the economics real well. The things he said are things which an undergraduate after maybe 3 weeks wouldn't say.
Wow.
I'll give you an example. Tariffs. He keeps saying, and he said it before, the tariffs, I'm going to get China with these tariffs. Tariffs are paid by Americans to the American government. Tariffs are a tax. They just have it's a tax on imports to which we have given historically a particular name, tariff. But it's a tax. And people ought to wonder, the anti-tax party, the Republicans, are the big gung-ho for a tax. Something has changed. He keeps thinking that he can hit other countries with a tariff. No, you hit us with the tariff. We have to pay it. It means we will have to pay more for everything you attach a tariff to.
And they can retaliate with their own tariff.
Of course.
Which is another piece of this is consumer protections. Trump has deregulated.
Yeah, that's gone. That's gone.
So consumers may pay more, but I'm also hearing you say they also may be less protected from.
They are less protected.
What does that look like?
There's a listeria epidemic going through old age homes here in the United States. Really serious. Killing you. I mean, it's not just hurting people getting sick. It's killing old people in nursing homes. Mm. Okay, that's why we have regulation. You teach a course in regulation, you understand, if you do it properly, that we've had a whole series of experiences, we in the U.S., and that has been mirrored by capitalist countries across the world, everywhere. If you leave activity to the private sector, what you are doing is making profit the bottom line. That's how they work. So we needed regulation because the end result was, we're not all good people. Most of us are, but there are those amongst us who will be tempted, and then we'll have a cookie which kills us, or we'll have a wheel that doesn't work properly on the car. So we need regulation. Guess what? If you dismiss regulation, which has happened before, here's what has happened every time. Sooner or later, we have to put back the regulation. Why? Because of the underlying logic of the system. Why does every company tell us safety is our first concern? Why do they tell us that? Because it isn't.
Okay, right.
That's why they tell us. They have to tell us that because we're all smart enough to understand. We know why they're in business.
Right.
They're in business to make a buck. Because we're in the business, many of us, to make a buck. We understand. And can you be tempted to do something that might not be? Sure you can.
I'd like to turn to foreign policy for a bit. Donald Trump has said that he wants to turn Canada into the 51st state. He wants to take over the Panama Canal, Gaza, and Greenland. He's already renamed the Gulf of Mexico, the Gulf of America. You argued that this is a kind of 18th century crude colonialism.
Right.
Why, at a moment like this, where the United States, from your perspective, has a weakened global position, would they take on such ambitious, ostensibly colonial activity as opposed to hunkering down domestically?
Well, if you study colonialism, you discover that most of the time, when a country began going overseas and snatching parts of the world, it was because of two things. One, it needed to, and two, it could. The United States needs it, and the United States can. It can't take over Europe. It's too expensive, too difficult. They're too rich, and they're too powerful. And they can't control Russia. They're learning that now,
Oh, yeah.
badly. And they can't control China. They've learned that now for 25 years. But what can they control? They can control Mexico. They can control Canada. Or at least they can make a stab at it. $1 out of $5 worth of food that you and I and everybody eats comes from overseas, and most of that from Mexico and Canada. Energy comes. A huge portion of our energy is Canadian, oil, gas, and so on. So these are basic things we need, and we're strong enough. They depend on us way more than we depend on them. We're a much bigger economy than either of them. So we can.
So just might makes right, just
Basically. And he's also aware, he's a good politician, he's aware that a lot of the things he's going to do are going to produce real tensions inside the United States between those parts of the community that are hurt and those that are not. Foreign adventures have always had that wonderful quality that we can unite our country in opposition to, in feeling superior to, in benefiting from, really, or by imagination, those other over there.
Let's talk about those others over there some more, because throughout this conversation, you've been talking about the BRICS nations.
Yeah.
How significant, as a military matter, is the BRICS economic alliance, is the emerging power of China? How scared should we be?
It's fundamentally very different. Let me explain. Economically, the game is over. The Chinese, if not already a wealthier economic unit than we are, which they probably are, will be within a few years. Very few, like by the end of this decade, if not already. So economically, they are now our equal. But remember, they're our equal. They're going up. We're going down. We're equal, but the trajectory is unmistakable across the board. All right? And so politically, it comes right after that. If you're that powerful economically, if you're the place that the whole world goes to cut a deal because you get a better deal than you can get from Washington or London, which is now most of the time the case. That's why if you look at the biggest harbor being built in Africa, it's being built by the Chinese. If you look at the new railroads going across parts of Latin America, it's built by the Chinese, on and on.